Hello. Welcome again to another episode of the Watch That Joint podcast. My name is Mary.
And I'm James.
And today you might as well strap in because we got a long movie for you guys today. What are we discussing today, James?
We are discussing the Oscar nominated film.
Oscar winning film.
Yes, Oscar winning film, won 4 Oscars, Poor Things.
It won
Direct.
4 Oscars,
Yes, it
which
did.
I know Emma Stone won Best Actress. What are the other three?
There was like two for costume. I think one was like set design. Give me 1 second. I'll take
I
a
know it got like
screenshot of it.
11 nominations.
Yeah, no, this movie, it did very well on Oscar Sunday.
Like I said, all through the Oscars, I just heard Oppenheimer, Poor Things, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and a little bit of Killers of the Flower Moon. That's what I remember.
Yeah, so it won. So Emma Stone won Best Actress. It was also Best Makeup and Hairstyling, Best Production Design, and Best Costume Design.
Oh. These are the nominees.
These are all winners.
Oh,
There
it
was
won Best
nominated. It
Makeup and
was
Hairstyling?
Yes, they were nominated
Okay.
for Best Picture, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor, and Mark Ruffalo. Best Director by Yorgos Lanthimos, and
Mm-hmm.
Best Original Score by
Oh.
Jerkskin Fendrick. So yeah, it was really acclaimed movie, and it was a unique one.
Very
It definitely
unique, honestly. I remember when I first saw the trailer for this movie, I thought it would be a comedy, and it is quite comical, but I really thought it would be like an absurdist satirical comedy, which it is, but I didn't think it had to do anything with female sexuality and
hmm
the patriarchy or anything like that. I just saw the scene of Emma Stone with this greasy looking black hair slapping Mark Ruffalo, and that was kind of it.
exactly,
And it said poor
exactly.
things, and I was like, okay, this seems like it's going to be a zany sort of movie.
Exactly. I had no idea what to expect. And yeah. So, how do you want to tackle this today? Since it's a lot to unpack, do you want to kind of go, want to do a synopsis of the movie first and kind of talk about it?
I want to talk a little bit about the director, as you
Okay.
mentioned, Yorgos Lanthimos. So, did we already say that this movie was first a book by the same name?
It came out in 1992.
Yes.
Okay.
So this book was by, if I butcher his name, sue me, Alasdair Gray.
Yep.
And I actually read a sample of the book on on my Kindle because I was like, there's no way I care to read this whole book or have enough time to read this whole book. But I read a sample, and after reading the sample, I was like, okay, now the story, the well, I sense the subtle differences between the book and the movie a lot. So when Lanthimos, the director, first read the book, he wanted to really make this story in Bella Baxter's point of view. That's Emma Stone's
Yep.
character.
Yep. Yep.
Because the book is mainly through, well, he has two names. In the movie, his name is Max McCandles. In the book, his name is Archibald McCandles. So
hmm
the book, Poor Things, is through his point of view and him meeting Bella. And you really don't hear much about Bella's point of view except at the end where she writes a letter pretty much saying that everything you read is inaccurate.
Mm.
So, yeah, um, he said he wanted to make a story through Bella's point of view and he was just so captured by the character. And immediately before reading like everyone kept talking about it, like the character. Even Emma Stone said she fell in love with the character. And honestly, I felt the same way watching this movie.
Yeah.
And another thing that I mentioned, you said this movie won Oscar for the costumes.
Yes.
So I actually watched an interview too with the costume designer Holly Waddington. And
Yep. She's the one who won.
yeah. So I remember during the film that Bella always wore like these big puffy sleeve shirts.
Yep, with the big puffy shoulders. Yes, yes.
So I always wondered during the film what that was, and Waddington actually speaks about it. She said that it's kind of funny that Yorgos only gave her one reference for costumes when they started to work on this movie, and that was a pair of inflatable trousers. A pair of inflatable trousers. So pretty much, she tried to make clothes that look inflatable with huge sleeves, and she said she liked these huge sleeves because they resemble human lungs and body parts. And I thought, oh, they actually do. And she said, the costumes that she chose for Bella, it had a lot of meetings, but one of the meetings she wanted to go for was making clothes that look like body parts to make her more creature-like. Because, this movie, well, the book is compared a lot to Frankenstein. People call it the more feminist Frankenstein.
Yeah, I didn't get the body parts from her costumes,
If
right?
you
I
kind
thought
of,
it would just.
yeah, if you kind of look at it, her shoulders do look like lungs. Like it looks like two lungs. And I was like, oh,
Yeah,
wow, I really see that.
yeah. I never would have guessed that. It more so seemed like childlike. When you said the inflatable pants, I laughed at that because that reminded me of like, you know how they put inflatable on babies when they're in pools,
Oh, yeah, the
like
little the
on the
little
arms.
wings.
Yes, that's what reminded me of like little wings. Like she didn't really know how to like support herself, or
No, that's
you know what I
that's
mean.
definitely a part of it too. That's definitely a part of it too. Waddington took a lot of references, but her clothes definitely were purposely childful, because she's basically a child. So I
Yes.
thought that was interesting. And I also watched this Stephen Colbert interview with Emma Stone, and I just said his name. And this is before I even saw the movie. And Stephen Colbert said that to Emma, he said, "You get to play a character who experiences no shame."
Yeah.
And that really grasped me. I was like, experiences no shame. Like, that's interesting. Like, who is this character? At first I thought she experienced no shame. I actually don't know what I thought, but that him saying that really intrigued me about this movie too. Because like I said, I thought it was just a zany comical. Of course, I know satire is deeply rooted in things, but I didn't think it would be this rooted. So yeah, that's the preliminary work done for the film, and also just um yeah, that's
We're
about it. Anything else you thought of before starting the film or that you learned?
Yeah, so I try not to look at anything before I watch the movie because I feel as though we're doing these reviews, I do a better job of just diving right into it, right? And the only thing I knew was about Emma Stone and Mark Ruffalo, who's
Ruffalo.
obviously Ruffalo, who's always the Hawk, you know. So I was wondering how is this dynamic gonna work, you know? And then also William Defoe, who is the
Green Goblin.
consummate villain, right? So yeah, I was.
Yeah, let me see. What I know William Defoe, and of course I was gonna say Harry Potter. Of course in Spider-Man. I've
He's in
seen
Spider
him.
Man. He's in.
He was a villainous type character in American Psycho, was he not? Or did I make that up?
I don't know if you remember American Psycho, but he definitely was in John Wick, kind of villainous, and he has that evil super
Face.
villain voice
Oh, I
and
said face,
face,
yeah.
and face. You know, he just seems evil, and
Yeah.
I think he's perfect for that type of. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. So
But
one thing, this may be jumping ahead first, but talking about William Defoe's voice, he plays this character Godwin Baxter, and from the short snippet, like I said, I read a sample, which is pretty much the boring ass introduction and like the first two chapters. But Godwin is a little different in the book than he is in the movie. And you said he has a very William Defoe can play characters with a very sinister voice. The character Godwin Baxter, they said that his voice was quote unquote repulsive. And when Max, who was Archibald in the book, Max McCandles, would talk to Godwin, sometimes he was friends of his, but sometimes he couldn't take his voice, and he had to like stuff his ear with cotton so that his voice wasn't so like grating and like annoying. So that is interesting. But yeah,
yeah, William Defoe, he definitely has an appealing voice. It just sounds a little evil.
Yeah, yeah, I love him. I love him as the Green Goblin. How the way
Yeah,
he says Peter Parker and just very sinister. He's great. He's great.
he is a
But
great actor.
all right. So let's get into it. The film starts off with Victoria Blessington standing over a bridge, and
Who is Victoria Blessington, Mary?
Victoria Blessington is the former Bella Baxter.
Yeah, so Emma Stone's character, she's
Yeah.
standing on top of a bridge wearing all blue, and there's like blue background and blue water, and she looks very blue.
So what do you think about the choice of the color blue?
I think just to show that she's sad and kind of over it, you know, and it is a suicide scene where she jumps off the bridge, so that scene's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And
See,
Emma Stone looks she looks beautiful in that shot. I think that's the best she looked all movie in that one shot when she's just sitting there like, what do you roll your eyes for?
you always talk about their appearance. We're not here to judge the actor's appearance unless it's, I don't know.
That's exactly what the
No, no, no. We're
the
not here
shot
to
is
talk
for.
about the actor and self. We're here to talk about the character's appearance, but not the actor appearance. But yeah. What I see this Victoria Blessington standing there about to jump, and immediately you can tell that this girl comes from money. Like she's wearing this vibrant blue gown. Her hair is in a fancy updo. She's wearing expensive looking pearl earrings. Her makeup is done. She seems very wealthy. And, you know, the blue, I think also, like you said, is definitely sadness, a sort of deep sadness. But this may be kind of a step forward. But in my mind, she's wearing blue. And every time when I think about women wearing blue in movies, I think about the Virgin Mary. Because I know in Catholicism, the Virgin Mary was always shown in blue. Like blue's her color. And I also know that colors like purple and blue back in like the Byzantine era was associated with royalty. Like not everybody could get that color. So I'm just like, okay, she comes from money. But also I'm like, maybe her wearing blue is kind of a subversion of the Virgin Mary kind of trope, because we know later that she is pregnant and she doesn't really see the pregnancy as a blessing. And instead of like protecting the child, she wants nothing to do with the child, nothing to do with her life. But yeah, and that is the last scene that we see in color for quite some time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Because it goes straight to black and white after that.
How do you feel about that? Did you think it was like jarring, or did the transition seem pretty seamless?
So I feel like it's kind of trendy now for movies to go black and white.
I literally read an article about it. Yeah, people love black and white movies now.
Yeah, like even Oppenheimer was
Well, I
black and white
skimmed
back and
an
forth.
article.
You know, and I feel like this was black and white back and forth. So when it went for full black and white, I don't know. What I think is what I researched, it was saying that the black and white is kind of showing the character development and Bella Baxter's mental state at that point of time as very simple and non-complex
And infantile.
and infantile.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because when can babies see in color? Do you know? Yeah.
No idea, but probably. I know it takes a while for those rods and cones to develop in their eyes.
Yeah. Yeah,
you
that
know.
makes sense. That makes sense.
It takes a while.
So when I saw the black and white, I did think it was a very seamless transition. It didn't take me out of it. It didn't like, you know, disinterest me. Because, you know, sometimes I feel like a black and white is done wrong. It can look very boring, but I think the black and white really added to the creepy of undertone of this entire movie. And I also thought maybe this is an homage to Frankenstein.
Yeah, absolutely. Because so Godwin,
Godwin. Yeah.
right? He is, they don't. I
He's a
can't talk about
patchwork
appearance.
monster.
Yes, yeah. His face is grotesque.
Yeah.
Right, but he's also a doctor and a scientist.
Mm.
And he created Bella,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which we don't know he created Bella. We just see that
At the start.
at the start. We just see that he has this grown woman who just seems like
When Max saw her, he said, "What a pretty retard," and that is what she
yes.
seems like. I know that word isn't
When I
acceptable,
saw
but
that-
I'm repeating what he said.
When he first said that, I was dying. That was the first part. Like, what a very pretty retard.
Yeah,
yo.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
Because and she portrayed it very well.
Emma
I
ate.
think that
She deserved the best actress win in my mind easily.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because just the way she walked, and kind of stumbled over herself,
And she did the
like-
kid. When toddlers get up, they put both hands on the ground to push themselves up butt first. She did that too.
wow.
She
I saw this video that she was talking about how she developed her walk, and how that first she developed it. She tried to mimic, like you said, children. But then she realized that when babies are first developed, the reason they fall down and are clumsy and stuff, because their bones aren't fully developed, right? But with her, she obviously had a full
Fully
woman's
developed.
body.
Yeah, so it wouldn't make
right?
sense. Ooh, that's
It
smart.
wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But so she had to basically go and figure out an early walk
Okay.
versus a walk towards the middle of the movie versus her little awkward stride towards the end as she gets more mature and more mentally developed. So
That's
took
why
a
she
lot.
won. Yeah, the girl did the
that's why
work.
she won.
Yeah.
She put the work in. you
Yeah.
know, and she said that she took individual practices and rehearsals with her and the director
Yeah.
to work on that.
Yeah. But going back to the when we first meet Bella, I noticed in this movie that I guess it's a cinematographer who made these decisions along with Yorgos. I forget the cinematographer's name. I think his name is Robbie something. But I noticed that he utilizes a lot of fisheye lenses.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
yep.
I
Like
think
the telescoping effect.
exactly. And that's kind of the first instance where we see the back of Godwin. He's walking down the stairs. Well, he's walking down the stairs, and at first we're positioned below him. So automatically that Godwin is a figure of power because how the way the camera shifted, he's towering above us. And then he comes into the room with Bella, and it changes to a fisheye lens, and we see this grown woman playing a piano with her feet. And
I was like, what am I watching?
exactly. And I think the fisheye lens really does a good job of really putting the spotlight on her, saying something is wrong here, and we're about to find out why.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. And then not just that, there was one scene where very in the beginning, Bella was walking, right, just like you said, toddler-ish, and you just see a duck dog.
the chog, that's what she calls it.
Yeah, a chog.
The chicken dog. Yeah, she says chog.
The chicken
no,
dog,
the
a
duck
duck
dog was
dog.
behind her too. No, that was a duck
Yes.
pig. When Baxter was leaving the house and she was trying to say bye, I think
I
that
thought
was
that
a
was
duck
a duck
pig.
dog. I
Really?
thought it was a duck dog. Yeah. And it was disgusting.
Yeah, yeah.
There's just few creatures that seem uglier than that duck dog. I'm like, what is going on?
I think the
Just-
pig chicken was pretty bad
the pig chicken was bad.
because his
with
head
the
was
pig
too
head
big for
and
the chicken body. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
pretty bad. That was pretty bad. But one thing I want to know. So we know that. Have you noticed when Godwin, when you first see the scene of Godwin Baxter and Bella Baxter at the table and they're eating dinner, he has this little contraption sets up that looks like a human stomach. Mm-hmm. And we're told that his father removed his oxydative and pyloric glands, so he must make his own gastric juices. And then he kind of burps it out in a repulsive way.
It pops out a little bubble that goes and pops.
He goes and then the bubble comes out, and then Bella claps like a moron. But,
Yes.
but my thing is, well, another thing, I only read the sample, so I could be completely wrong. But from what I've read, Godwin doesn't mention, they said he wasn't attractive in the book, but they never said anything about his face being disfigured. And
So you think?
I,
So
and
you think?
So, and I
You
don't
thi-
think he didn't say anything about his father experimenting on him. Like I said, I
yeah.
very early in the book, but his father was pretty cold and pretty callous. Like, I actually have an excerpt of something that I took from the book.
Okay.
Um, let's see. Okay, his father was named Sir Colin, and he
Sir
said,
Colin.
yeah, as I was educated at home and saw no other families and never played with other children, I was 12 before I learned exactly what mothers do. I knew the difference between doctors and nurses and thought of mothers as an inferior kind of nurse who specialized in small people. I thought I never needed one because I was big from the start. And then Max asks him, "But surely you begat the chapter in Genesis?" And he says, "No. Sir Colin taught me himself, you see, and only taught me what interests him. He was a severe rationalist. Poetry, fiction, history, philosophy, and the Bible struck him as nonsense. Unprovable blethers, he called them. So what did he teach you? Mathematics, anatomy, chemistry. Each morning and evening, he recorded my temperature and pulse, took samples of my blood and urine, then analyzed them. By the age of 6, I was doing these things for myself. Because of a chemical balance in my system, well, hold on. But I'll skip that. But did you never ask him where you originally came from? Yes. And he answered by bringing up diagrams, models, morbid specimens, and giving me another lesson on how I was made. Yeah. He said, I enjoyed these lessons. They taught me how to admire my internal organization. This preserved my self-respect when I learned how most people feel about my appearance. So pretty much, like, he never knew who his mother was. I didn't read it correctly, but he never knew who his mother was. And his father, when he would ask him, like, where did I come from, he would just show him pretty much like how sex is done, but never told him who his mother was. So yeah, like, yeah, his mother was his father's anesthesiologist, and they worked closely, and they had him, but he says he has no memory of her. There is nothing she owned in our house. Sir Colin never spoke of her except once in my teens, when he said she was the cleverest, most teachable woman he knew. That must have attracted him, for he had no interest in female beauty. He had very little interest in people except at surgical cases. So that kind of really mimics the feelings that he has towards Bella, or the feelings that he tries to have towards Bella.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He tried to treat her back, God, which she called him, and I thought she just called him God. I didn't know his name was Godwin.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's a double entendre.
It is. It is double entendre. Because one, he was playing God when he reanimated her, and then to her, that's all she knows.
Yeah.
But
But one thing I'm wondering, and maybe because she was a child and children are picky, she spit out a lot of food. And
she did.
at first I thought because she doesn't like it, because she has a child's mind. But then I'm like, maybe she doesn't have a proper stomach like Godwin doesn't, because she was reanimated.
No, I
Because
think
she
her
ate
stomach is
some
fine.
things, but she spit
I
out a
think
lot.
I think she was picky. Because later on in the movie, she was like, if it's revolting,
Repulsive.
yeah, revolting. If it's
Oh,
revolting,
okay.
why do I need to have it in my mouth?
Yeah.
So she would spit it out. That was just her being toddlerish,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because later on in the movie, towards the end of the movie, when she's eating the same sort of food, she's like, "Oh, this is oddly good and vinegary," which is not
She
something
did.
she
She
would have
finally
said.
started to like kippers.
Exactly,
And
whatever the heck kippers are.
I think kippers is like the English way of saying capers. I could be completely wrong. I could be
It would
completely
seem like
wrong.
the big leathery thing.
Yeah, I have no
So I
idea.
have no
But
idea.
another difference between the book and the movie. In the book, Godwin and everyone lives in Glasgow, Scotland, not London.
Yeah, yeah, not in London.
But
I saw that too.
yeah, but going back to Godwin, yeah, he did see her, tried to treat her like property. He even said when she wanted to go outside, And Max was kind of like, why don't you want her to go outside? He said, she's an experiment, and I must control the conditions or our results will not be pure.
Exactly. And he also tried to actively scare her from going outside. It's like, outside is dangerous. There's a lot of stuff that's toxic out here. You can't go outside. And then when he was in a carriage, coming back from some sort of outside that he did allow her to have, she's like, I want ice cream. And he was like, no. She's like, no now or no never. He said, just no. And she went crazy.
Yeah.
And she tried to fight for her freedom. And that's when he took the
chloroform.
there we go, chloroform. Yeah, the chloroform, and knocked her crazy behind out.
She's not crazy. Like from a very early stage, Bella knew that she desired freedom. She knew that her being trapped away is not the life that she's supposed to be living. And all throughout this movie, men tried to trap her.
Yeah, and all throughout the movie they took advantage of her, right? Because even when Max, right, when Max McCandles, right, who adored Dr. Godwin Baxter, he was like his star pupil, and he decided to to stick up for him whenever classmates was calling him like a monster and stuff. And Godwin actually invited him to the house and said, hey, I got a job for you. And when he came and he saw Bella, and he started interacting with her, he caught feelings for her,
Which is strange. I mean,
it is.
I know, but that's before he knew what had happened. But my thing is, if you act like a child, I'm going to think of you like a child.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what, because he was like, I see you how the way you looked at Bella. I could tell the love. You two should marry. And when he first said that, I was like, gross.
Yeah.
Right? Like he said, right? And he's like, well, I do have feelings for her. And I was like, gross.
Gross, yeah.
And then he was like, but I'll wait until she can consent. So I'm assuming that he saw that she was growing, that maybe she wouldn't be toddlerish. Maybe she would just be a little, you know what I mean? Maybe like she was progressing. So that's why I'm thinking he was hoping for. But because he really couldn't give any real consent to what was going on.
Bella couldn't.
Bella couldn't. No, not really.
So
like she didn't really understand what it was that she would still be trapped in the house. That was the biggest thing.
She had no understanding until Duncan came and manipulated her with the truth about it.
Yeah, he molested her.
No, well, I was saying he's the one who told her what the marriage contract meant, that she wouldn't be able to leave the house. She didn't know. She didn't firmly grasp it. But going back to, I don't think we talked about it, but pretty much here's what happened to Bella. So Bella, a.k.a. Victoria Blessington, threw herself off a bridge when she was pregnant. Godwin Baxter found her in the river. It's actually a river in Scotland. I forget the name of it. Pulled her out. And it's so funny what he says. He said, who was I to decide her fate? But then there was on my part a recognition. Fate had brought me a dead body and a live infant. It was obvious. Takes the infant's brain out and put it in a full-grown woman, reanimate her and watch. I cracked up. And how the way they set that up, they set it up so you could be like, what the? How did you come to that? How did you come to that? How did you come to that? Not call the police, not try to revive her.
Not try to save the baby. You know what I mean?
How did you come to that, dog?
Come to that. Just.
But
my jaw literally dropped.
I cracked the hell up.
What is going on?
Yeah, I was disturbed, but I cracked the hell up. But
yeah, I was like, what is going on?
One thing,
I'm like, there's a baby in there, like
a baby's mind.
You know how dangerous that is. For her to, she could have killed herself in so many ways, or
her body could have rejected the baby's mind.
Exactly. And then what they do with her mind? Just put it back in the baby?
Put it back in the baby. I don't know what's worse, having a baby with an adult mind or an adult with a baby's mind.
I think adult mind in the baby's body. I think that.
I think a baby with an adult mind is disturbing. Imagine a baby trying to flirt with you because it's really 36.
Exactly.
Oh, that's what you said?
Because he's 30. Yeah, that's worse.
I thought you said what Bella is. But
that's Stewie.
That's
a little Stewie over there.
But
a little Chucky.
The one thing that this made me think of, this kind of reminds me of pretty much a woman's right to choose. Like men just feeling like it's their duty to make choices for women, even though the woman clearly and firmly already chosen for herself.
Yeah.
Like their
That's true.
choices are ignored in favor of a man's perceived like moral responsibility.
Yep.
Like Godwin saying, "Oh, it was fate that I do this ridiculous thing that no one asked me to do." And it's like, no, Bella chose her own fate. I mean, Victoria chose her own fate by jumping off that bridge, but you decided that what you want is more important than what she chose. And that's just like, it's typical. It's typical. But one
That's
thing,
typical.
we finally get back into color when they show the reanimation scene.
That's the first time we got the color.
That is, well, that's the first time since Victoria jumped off the bridge.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
the first
Yeah,
shot
yeah.
of color, and it's masterfully done, honestly. Like, everything is so saturated. Bella's eyes look so green. And actually, I saw in an interview, I forget what happened, but something happened, an error happened that where the frame rates of that shot was kind of skewed, or I don't know, so that it made it look like when Bella first opens her eyes, it looks like that it snaps open like a doll. And they like that, so it kept it in the film. And it's giving Frankenstein, the music, which is like disturbing, like like what monster movies sound like. It's kind of like
Yeah.
like eerie and like alien. I was just like, this is really good. It's like whimsical, and even though it's very disturbing, there's a sense of humor, like
Yeah.
underlining everything too. So
No, I thought it was funny because like she would just when you saw her, you realized that she had a child's brain, a baby's brain.
poor
Everything
imbecile.
else made sense.
Yeah.
you know, everything makes sense. Either way, she sat out there and just started clapping.
Both hands, just her arms completely outstretched, just clapping.
yeah, outstretched, just clapping.
Like one of those those toys with the monkey with the symbols.
Yes,
She claps-
exactly.
she
That's
claps like
exactly what
that.
she clapped like that. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it's very disturbing. A question I wanted to ask you: do you think Bella's condition of having the mind of an infant and how pursuing her romantically is very immorally kind of toes the line? Do you think the same way about people who are not mentally competent in that matter? Like, of course, they have, they didn't go some crazy surgery where they literally have the mind of a baby. But
Yeah, no,
it
absolutely.
makes the same.
And unfortunately, people who have mental handicaps get like they're vulnerable. You know what I mean? And they get taken advantage of. And I think that's what Bella was, at least initially. She was vulnerable, and when Face, what's his name? Mark Ruffalo's character.
Buffalo, Duncan,
Yeah. Duncan. Yep. So when
Wedderburn.
Duncan Wedderburn, right? He was the lawyer, and he was tasked with writing up a contract that essentially forced Bella to stay in her house with her husband, Max, right? And he was like, "Why would you write this?" Like he said, "This is a very detailed contract. This woman must be amazing, right?" And he snuck off and he found Bella and he found her sitting in a closet blowing bubbles, and he obviously can tell that she's not all there.
The elevator
he
don't go
sits-
all the way up.
exactly, right? So he sits down and starts talking to her and then he tells her what's going on and he's like, he visited her at night and that's what was triggering part for me, to be honest with you. Like he climbed up in her window and visited her at night and
Well, let's
convinced
go
her-
back because we're skipping a very important scene, and that's where Bella discovers Happy Time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Discovers Happy Time, and the thing that I do like about the scene, so pretty much Bella. I'm gonna tell you guys, parents, if our parents are listening to this, don't watch this movie. Mom and dad, don't watch this movie. Say it again, James.
Mama and Papa, don't watch.
Don't watch this movie. It's sex. It's sex all the time. But
Sex.
Bella, you know, she wakes up and she discovers the
Her nether region.
she discovers her nether reason and how useful tool you got. There's a song by Victoria Monet called 10 New Friends. And she pretty much says that she broke up with her man, but she okay because she got 10 new friends. Bella discovered her 10 new friends. But one thing that I liked about this scene, I liked that her first sexual experience was with herself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
That's true.
It was with herself. It was full. It just felt like she was fully in control. It was fully autonomous, you know, and it wasn't framed as like something to be ashamed of. No one well, till later, but it was something that she just kind of experienced organically. And then
she tried to go, well, after she was experimenting with some vegetables.
Yeah, she tried to stick an apple up there at first. No, she did stick an apple up there.
She did.
She took a bite of it and stuck it up there. I'm like, an apple not even the right shape, girl. Fisting isn't real.
But then
Mrs. Prim.
No, your comment, Mary, just threw me all off.
People don't do that. I refuse to believe it. If y'all do, let us know. Or maybe not. But come on now. That's like sticking a... Never mind. I'm going to keep my business to myself. The cucumber made sense. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yes. So she tried to go for the maid or whoever
Mrs.
the
Prim.
lady was. And she was like, stop it. She's trying to touch my hairy parts.
My hairy business.
My hairy business, yeah.
And even that just shows you the difference in mentality between Bella and Mrs. Prim. Like, calling it your hairy business, it just sounds innately disgusting and like something that you should be ashamed of when it's literally your body. Yes, I will be upset if some man child tried to touch me, but I'm not going to be like, oh, that's my hairy business. Like, you know, and then when Max catches her, he says, in polite society, that is not done. And at first I thought he meant like, that's not done in public. And I'm like, yeah.
But he meant it done in general.
He meant in general. And I said, oh, wow. And then, yeah, when Godwin proposes that Max and Bella get married, and when Max says, excuse me, but I just wanted to ask, like, so you never tried to hit that?
Exactly.
And Gonik was like, I'm a eunuch.
I'm a eunuch. He says he could take the electricity to light up a city to get him there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But Godwin said something. He said, indeed, all sexuality is basically immoral. What do you think about that?
I think it's a theme in the movie. One of the main things in the movie, that sexuality is basically immoral. And
do you agree?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
I think sexuality is what makes us human.
Yeah.
You know?
But why do you think he believes that?
Who?
Godwin? Yeah.
Well, he was like terrorized and bastardized his whole life, and all he says is just science. And he's a eunuch, you know. He said his father burned his balls off for whatever reason.
That was a constant trope in the movie. Just him slowly revealing all the terrible things his dad did to him, and everyone just got like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "It's fine."
he's like, "It's fine. Yeah, I learned how to take pain. I learned how to do this."
I was just like, "Why on earth would he do that?" Like, everyone just kind of like, "Huh?"
Huh? Like, he broke my bones so it can grow differently. And then I sat there and I looked at my bones that weren't working, and he walked back and I was smiling.
Right.
Like you are.
Like, he took out his whatever glands that he said just to see if humans needed them. That's it.
Exactly. Turns out he did. You know? So I think all of that goes to show while he doesn't think that the pleasures of the world, including sexuality, are necessary, right? And even the excerpt you read from the book where it's only fact-based and only what you can prove, sexuality and feelings and emotions and relationships are none of that, you know? None of that stuff is pure black and white or logical. So I think that's kind of what he really meant by it.
And, you know, another thing that struck me when Max and Archibald, never mind. When Max and Godwin were first discussing the terms of Bella and Max's marriage, um, Godwin said at first, there's a condition before you marry her. And the first thing Max says, yes, I know the condition is that Bella has to want the
Must.
marriage too. And then
Hmm.
God will say, oh, well, then there's two conditions. So I think that also shows a lot that portrays Godwin's sentiments that Bella is property. Because why wasn't the first thing that came to your mind, like Max's, is that, wait, she should want to marry him too? The first
Because he
thing that
doesn't
came
have
to your
empathy.
mind was she needs to stay right here because she's my property and I can't have her going anywhere.
Exactly. But he has no empathy.
He does have empathy. He does have empathy. I think it's just I think his dad screwed him up. His dad,
Yeah.
because like he said, when later on when Bella leaves, and he's drinking port all day and it's a mess. He said, we're men of science. I'm not supposed to feel this way, but he does. He does.
Yeah.
But he kind of had to learn it. But going back to Duncan Wedderburn, the scum. He is scum, but Mark Ruffalo killed this character.
Yo, he made him likable.
I don't know about likable.
Like I thought he was hilarious.
He
The whole
was funny,
movie,
but I
yo.
hated him. I hated him from the very moment. It's just when Duncan Wedderburn is the lawyer who drafted up the contract. He was in Godwin's office, and like you said, he said, "Oh, this must be an incredible woman that you guys are doing so much to keep her away, to keep her locked up." And to me, that's a very weird thing to say.
It is not. Why are you keeping her locked up? What is wrong with you? This is not legal. Going to the police saying like, "Oh, you got something good here. I want that."
It's like
You
it's
know.
like him literally saying like, "Oh, she should be locked up because she's incredible." You know what I mean? And that makes sense to me now because Duncan is a very possessive person. Of course, that piqued his interest when he saw that contract. So he sees
Yeah.
the contract. He's like, "Oh, y'all trying to keep her on wraps. Let me go see about her because I want that for myself." This is obviously a person who's able to be possessed, and I want to
Yep.
possess her for myself. So
Yep.
when he saw her sitting in that closet, that moment was very sleazy to me. It left a bad taste in my mouth when he's like, "Oh, you're so incredible. I could pinch you to see if you're real." And then he sticks his hands between her legs.
Exactly.
And I was just like, ew. Bella enjoyed it, but I'm just like you said, this girl was in the closet blowing bubbles.
Exactly.
I
She
was
was
like,
minding her own business.
I was like, how
You
dare
know.
you? I was like, ew. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. But he did have a humor to him, but likable. And yeah, just
Yeah.
him climbing up on the roof like a sleazeball. Like,
Hmm.
but it's so funny. He climbed up to the roof and trying to be quiet, and Bella's like, "How'd you get up here?"
No, exactly.
But one thing that I noticed when Duncan and Bella are on the roof and they're talking about going to Lisbon, Portugal, do you notice there's a fireworks show going on in the background?
Yeah, I do. I think. I
So
remember.
there's a fireworks show going on in the background. The scenes are still monochromatic. They're still in black and white. And also the sky is like heavy with these thick clouds. And how the way the scene is shot, they want you to notice it. So I asked ZQ, I was like, why do you think it's so cloudy out, like thick clouds? I know it's London. It rains a lot in London. It's
It
a
does.
dreary city. But DQ said that the clouds could signifies like Bella's naivete, however you say it. And
That she
like
can't see clearly.
exactly. Like the world.
Especially she can't see clearly at night, so she can't see danger, right? Because even when she was like, Bella, don't think I'll be very safe with you, right? She said that straight up, right? So, that's probably what the clouds and all that stuff could have portrayed.
Yeah.
Just saying like, yo, man, I don't really feel safe with you,
Yeah.
and
And the
you're.
the clouds just show a world that's like shrouded and unknown to her. But also the fireworks, I think, she knows that it's dangerous, but she's excited by it.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
fireworks are beautiful, but you step too close to them, you could lose a finger.
Exactly. They're beautiful, and it's like okay, and she had fun.
She had a lot of fun.
She had a whole sexual awakening.
She did. She
And
did.
she explored the world. She learned about dancing and culture. She was able to eat food, and you know what I mean. And She when they
Learned
got
about
to
socialism.
Lisbon, yeah, learned about socialism.
Yeah, that's one thing too, because I noticed when they go to Lisbon, now everything's in color. So I'm like, okay, maybe the fireworks are kind of a hint
I
to,
thought,
hey, the
I
color's
thought,
coming.
yeah, no, I thought that it went the color that the first time when she was banging,
Yeah, we saw the
right?
pink
When that
nipples
first, yep, the first sex scene,
in
that's when it
Lisbon.
was in
Yeah,
color in Lisbon. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So what? And I think I'll speak about it later, but I think color plays a very large role in this movie. I'll give my opinions or like theories about it as we go on. But you know what's actually a true fact? Remember after Bella and Duncan had their sex marathon and then they go to this cafe and they get these custard tarts.
Mm-hmm.
So those are like Portuguese custard tarts. I could try to say the name in Portuguese, but I'm not doing that. But Emma said that during this film and the making of the film, she ate around 60 of those. And she said that eating those tarts was more difficult than all the sex scenes.
Wow.
She like it made her sick. And you know, it's funny because I wondered why Duncan told Bella, he said, you know, you can't eat this one delicate flake by
like
flake.
flick by flake.
Stuff it in your mouth with gusto.
With gusto.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just like, what is it about it? And later on, what's her name? Bella did throw them up. So I went on a rabbit hole. I was like, okay, why can't you eat more than one?
Is that why she threw up?
I think she threw up because she ate too many. Yeah, she just ate too many.
Oh, because she went up and she ate too many.
Yeah, she
Okay.
went back. Yeah, she went back. Remember when Duncan was asleep?
Okay, I couldn't. I had no idea why she threw up. I'm like, is she pregnant? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, she threw up.
You
But
know.
that's a constant thing, just her spitting out food. So
Yeah, you're right.
but yeah. So that was funny.
So Duncan and Bella's relationship transitions from purely sexual to Bella wandering around town and Duncan kind of worried about her
He wasn't
from a
worried.
a possessive standpoint, just not knowing where she's at. And she coming back and she get just random sexual exploits, right? Like
She's having a hot girl summer, y'all.
yo, for real. Like she came back, she was like, yeah, you know, this man was teaching me how to play chess, and he was like, this might be the softer thighs, and he touched him, and then he marked which thigh was softest, right? And then he told her that like she had a sexual encounter with this man, and Duncan just left and slammed his head on the table, and she's like,
On the bar
"What?"
counter.
On the bar counter, right? And she was like, "What? You can do the same to me too, right?" She didn't understand that about monogamy. You know, it wasn't a thing. It was like, "What? You can do the same thing to me, right?"
And the thing is, they weren't in a monogamous relationship. They were just kicking it.
Exactly. They were just kicking it.
She didn't
and Duncan
understand
had
the feelings
chance.
of jealousy or
Exactly.
possession.
And if Duncan had the opportunity, he absolutely would have been kicking it with somebody else.
Absolutely. Like, I think Bella said something along the lines of, I don't know, you sleep with 10 women or so every so often. He said, no, it's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to talk about Bella's exploration of Lisbon. The one thing I notice when we see Bella is that Bella is wearing yellow.
Yep, she is.
She's wearing yellow pants. So
But like, yeah, yellow pants and like
a blue top or so.
yeah, and she's walking a little better. She's not walking as like
She's learning.
she's learning.
So I want to talk about what I think yellow is. So I read this online and they said that saffron, which is a yellow plant, was reputed to be the color of love and later also lust.
Saffron. I thought saffron is red.
Saffron's yellow.
Okay, you said the color of love.
Of love and later also lust. Venus, the Roman goddess of love, wore a yellow robe. These aspects of yellow led to a change of its connotation in medieval Christianity, and it became the color of prostitutes who were forced to make themselves recognizable by wearing a yellow ribbon, belt, or cape.
Oh,
Another thing about yellow.
that's foreshadowing.
The next step in this downfall And the downfall of this color was based on the fact that yellow was easily sullied by other colors. Greenish yellow started to be associated with repulsion, pus, and leprosy. Yellow flag designated areas of raging plague. The robe of the traitor Judas is yellow, and the fresco Judas's Kiss by Giotto di Bondone. Another thing, a few more things. The reason for all evil was believed to be the gall, and the yellow's complexion denoted anger, eternal envy, jealousy, and also stinginess.
That's a lot about yellow, Mary.
There's a lot about yellow because, we know yellow is associated with warmth and like joy, but I didn't know yellow had all these negative connotations as well. So I noticed that Lisbon and on the ship, and especially in Alexandria, there is a lot of yellow. So this is the first instance where I see yellow, and I'll go back to this. So, yeah. So Bella's
So
like,
what do you?
what are you saying?
No, Bella's like what?
Bella's like Roman Lisbon, and then remember when she sees that singer?
Yeah. She was captivated by her.
She was absolutely mesmerized.
She was playing guitar on a balcony, And
No, that
she
wasn't
was
a guitar.
absolutely-
I think it's called
a mandolin, maybe.
no, I think it's called a balisette.
So, I don't know. Looked like a little guitar.
No, a balisette isn't real. I've read too much Dune. That's not a real instrument, Mary. That's not a real instrument. Oh my God. But you're right. It looks
I think it's called a mandolin.
a mandolin.
That's yes.
How
I
do
think
you
that's
spell
what's
that?
small.
I want to see. Because I always want to know what it's called. And I
know.
keep saying balisette, but I'm like, that's not real.
Yeah, but anyway, she did fall. She was intrigued by it. It was probably the first time she saw live music, and the woman was singing on the deck.
Oh,
and,
it is a
she was
mandolin.
free. Yeah, she was free and she could do what she want.
Yeah.
And she just kind of looked over there and just admired her.
Yeah. So this singer is actually like a well-known singer. Her name is Carmenho or Carmenho. She's a Portuguese fado single songwriter. And fado is a type of music in Portuguese. And it says that although the origins are difficult to trace, this is from Wikipedia, today, fado is commonly regarded as simply a form of song, which can be about anything, but must follow a certain traditional structure. In popular belief, fado is a form of music characterized by mournful tunes and lyrics, often about the sea or the life of the poor, infused with a sense of resignation, fate, and melancholy. And the woman who sung this song, Carmenho, she says, I was very happy to see how beautiful the scene was, how intense. It's the first time there's silence in the movie and Bella is alone. This is what Carmenho tells Billboard Espanol. I thought that the transition of Bella's characters from a child to a woman, it was beautiful to see that Yorgos used the fado to make that, because there's such a feeling of sadness in fado. Even if we don't understand the lyrics, there's a little bit of pain in each of those interpretations. So, and what I realized is after hearing the fado, Bella kind of falls out of her dreamlike, everything is awesome sort of state. And she starts to notice all the anger and unhappiness around her. Like she notices the couple arguing in the alley. And she kind of seems almost teary-eyed by it. And also, you start to hear in the background like men arguing. You start to hear arguing that you didn't hear before. You know what I mean?
And then she threw up right after that.
She did throw up after that. She did throw up. So I think this is her first introduction into the world and realizing, oh, wait, things are kind of sad here.
Yeah.
Like things are angry here,
Yeah, because even when she came back to the room, she said that she got lost and she followed the sound of the train tracks. And all she found was adventure and violence. You know what I mean? Because that's what you said, adventure and violence.
Yeah.
And then she talked about her interaction with the dude who gave her head in the alleyway.
No, that was later. That was later.
No, that was the same guy.
No, but that didn't happen later. When she came back to the room in yellow, she came back, dropped her skirt. She said, the
Oh,
violent.
get on top of me.
Yeah. But yeah, but it was cute. She was like, Bella have explorer blood in her, because she found her way back.
Bella was Dora the Explorer, yo.
She was.
I'm out here.
She was. But yeah. So let's talk about I'm a trans.
I was gonna say, yeah, I was gonna transition to get to the boat scene, right?
Oh no, I don't want to go to the boat yet. We're missing a big part.
What, the box?
No, the big part. So remember, they're at dinner. Bella and Duncan are at dinner.
The dance.
We need to talk about the dance.
Yeah, the dance.
But
that was when she was. Well, I guess you go.
Well, I'm noticing at dinner, Bella's completely wearing yellow. She's wearing this deep yellow dress, like not just the bottom of her, but head to toe is yellow. And all around them I guess they're at the restaurant of the hotel they're staying at in Lisbon. Everything is yellow too. And there's like this yellow tint on Duncan's face. And remember what I said, that yellow, it's also associated with like jealousy and envy and stinginess. So I remember Duncan, he's pissed off that Bella's been going on these adventures by himself. And then Bella says to Duncan, understand, we never lived outside God's house. So Bella, much to discover. And your sad face makes me discover angry feelings for you. And when she says that, there's like a yellow tint casted over Bella's face as well. There's a lot of yellow in this scene. And then Duncan said, I've become the very thing I hate, a grasping succubus of a lover.
Yep.
And then Bella also said, I must go punch that baby. And I said, what we think, Bella says it. What we think, Bella says it.
I have that in quotes. It's one of my favorite quotes in the movie. I must go punch that baby.
And she does it. She gets up to do it.
She gets up to do it. And like when she was sitting at
dinner. Oh, no. When she said that was a separate time. She was wearing yellow when she said that. During the dance, she was wearing pink and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But when she was sitting at the table, right, she was just saying weird things. He was like when she spit the food out of her mouth, it was repulsive. Why'd I have it in my mouth? And then the other guest was like, haha, made basically a sexual innuendo. And she's like, yeah, this like, and she made another sexual joke.
She was like, yeah, the woman was like, she was like, oh yeah, I've said that once to my husband or whatever. And Bella was like, oh yeah, you're talking about his penis. Yeah, I said that once to Duncan. It can be salty at times.
Yeah, just not stuff. And she was like, oop, it's not polite. And she hit herself in the face, right? When she realized it wasn't polite, right? But yeah, and the next time they was in a similar hall where she just like felt the music and her body, it felt like a little toddler, right?
Exactly.
Who didn't know how to really move their body yet.
Just kind of shallow bouncing.
Yeah, like that's how babies dance, yo. Babies just go in
DQ imitates the baby dance all the time. He just starts bouncing and looking around, smiling. And people be like, go, baby, go. And he be like, the baby's stupid. Y'all gonna cheer that on?
Exactly. That's exactly what Bella was, right? She was just bouncing and excited. And then she tried to like scoot her way to the dance floor. And then I thought Duncan came up smooth the way he did or whatever. Their dancing scene was tight. Even when like he did like he leaned on her and he like did his like dance like walking backwards with her walking on him. I thought the whole dancing scene was on point.
I think the dance was literally, first the whole dance Bella was trying to get away from him. The dance was a pursuit where he was pursuing her. Like there were several movements that kind of showed this. There's this one part where Duncan pulls her close to him. He like grabs the small of her back and pulls her close, and her face looks surprised. And when he does that, she does like this little kick behind her, almost as if she's trying to kick away. And then maybe you should pull up a dance so you don't talk about. But
no, exactly. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, she's like kind of kicking behind her. Then like but he spins her, but then Bella spins him. And when she spins him, she spins him all the way around so that his back is towards her, and she has her arm around his neck, and that's what she kind of makes him walk like a puppet, And I think that symbolizes that Bella unintentionally has this man wrapped around her finger.
She does.
And Duncan feels like she has all the control. and like she controls him like a wind-up toy or a puppet, making him walk. And then he tries to spin her, and then she tries to spin him. There's a little moment where they're like struggling. They're both trying to spin each other because like
They're
normally
struggling for control.
Exactly. Normally with dancing, like who spins the woman's
You let
the man
the man
spins the
leads.
woman. Yeah, so they were like trying to spin each other, and they would not know and let each other spin each other. And then they had to stand still. Then they started dancing, and Bella's trying to like dance off, dance to the crowd and like kind of separate himself from him. But he's kind of like just following her. She's kind of like dancing towards the audience. Like, at one point she like breaks away from him. She's just kind of like dancing, like kind of like, look at me, here I am. And he just like pulling her close to him. So the whole thing seemed like Duncan trying to reassert his dominance and capture her, and she's just trying to be free. That's why at the end, when after Duncan gets into a fight with the old man who was winking at Bella, and then Bella tries to go off to dance with people in town, she's mad at him for following her, and then she throws a whole cup at his face.
Yeah.
I was like, not even the water. She threw a whole cup at that nigga face.
The whole
like,
cup. Yeah, she did.
Yeah, so
Bella was violent.
it was violent.
She was violent.
But listen, like the dance was I really liked the dance. Like in the music matched too. Like at that point where they both
It was like clashing. It was like ding.
it was very
dun,
disharmonious.
dun, dun.
Yeah. It it was like staccato and like kind of jaunting, and then like it was a power struggle between them. So I think it was really cool that the choreographer was able to convey this power struggle with no words, just movements. I think that's kind of genius for real.
No, it really was.
Yeah.
It really was. It really was. And then after that night, man.
Are we going to the ship?
Yeah, we gotta move on. After the night, he pulls up and he's like, "I got a surprise for you, an adventure," and just shows her a chest, and she looks at it like out of curiosity.
Big old
He's
trunk.
like, "Get in," and she gets in the trunk, and he opens up, and they're on a boat in middle of the sea.
She's been shanghaied. Did I use that right?
Shanghai?
Shanghaied. I heard them say it on Bob's Burgers. There's an episode with this crazy when Mr. Fishoder trapped Bob on a ship so that he'll cater the ship, a cruise ship, and he couldn't get off. Let me see. And he was like, "I've been shanghaied."
Bob's Burgers. But she literally looked at him and she
Okay,
instantly
yeah.
realized,
Force someone to join a ship lacking a full crew by drugging them or using other underhanded means.
wow, that's exactly what he got. She got Shanghai. She looked at him and she was like, "You intend to keep me a prisoner at sea."
Yeah.
Right? And then, because as soon as he let her out, he got on bed and he was like, "Come and disrobe me." You know what I mean? And like he was basically like, "Yeah, we're out here. Let's go get it." And she's like, "No." And she hid in the bathroom for the whole night.
He wanted to isolate her. He wanted to isolate her. And one of the things that you notice about abusive people, they want to isolate you from your friends and your family.
Exactly.
And one thing I noticed about this room in this whole scene, it was very blue. And blue, it signifies sadness, melancholy, isolation, and
Lack of asphyxia. You know, when you're suffocating, you turn blue in the face. You know what I mean? So she can't get any like breath or anything.
oh, she's like literally like stifled by him,
Suffocated.
He is suffocating. I'm like, damn. Every time you turn around, this dude is there.
Yeah, no, he was clingy.
Yeah, he was more than clingy. He was crazy. Like even when
she met her friends.
when she met her friends, when she met Martha and Harry.
And Harry. Yes.
So I'm gonna go into a deep dive here because this portion, the ship, that is. Oh, another thing, I couldn't make any sense of it. What did you think about the little transition animations that they had at like each like?
What, like her riding on a fish or like walking over a bridge?
You know what I
with
heard about the
eyes?
fish?
What?
So the set designer said that those fish were used as decorative elements in her bedroom at home because Godwin tried to create a home that was so fantastical that she didn't want to leave. So she actually rowed those fish to Lisbon. So those are the fish. That was the
What?
fish.
She rode the
You
fish to
said
Lisbon.
she rode the fish to Lisbon. You said she was riding a fish. Those are the same
Yeah.
fish that were in her room
Okay.
at home.
Okay.
And another thing about the production design, all this stuff was built.
Yeah. Even the screens.
It was built. Yeah, they said they used a little bit of computer generated stuff, but all of it was
Mhm, but
built.
they said they made LED screens to show the sky.
Yes, they literally
And the
did.
whole and the whole sky was beautiful. It was weird. It was a weird.
It was very
eerie looking
saturated, like an
sky.
HDR filter on everything.
Yeah.
It was nice. But what was I going to say? And one thing that was cool about it, they had a lot of fun with the set design too. You know, they said they'll and I like how there's little details that we'll probably never notice, but they still did it. Like they're like, you know, they wanted to make her world childish, so they'll like place a door somewhere where a door shouldn't be, or like make the floors kind of like bouncy, which is very hard to walk in, but Bella likes it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. No, they did a very good job, and I think they did all the shots from sound studios.
yeah, from
So none
sound
of it was
stages, yeah.
outside. So they did it fully like just like Baxter, right? They can control the atmosphere. It wasn't outside. You know, they can control every little detail in that view. Everything was built from scratch.
I heard it took them 12 years to make this film.
It took him, yeah. He said because it was adapted from a book that was written in '92, and he said that they got the script years later, and he had to find out someone who wanted to fund the movie. You know,
Yeah.
and it makes sense.
But yeah, going back to just Duncan pretty much being a control freak. Remember when he proposed to Bella?
Ha! So the dialogue in that scene, I wrote it down. It is you. Yes, I do remember when he proposed to her.
You're gonna say the
Right.
dialogue?
Well,
Because I was
I
gonna
said
say
that.
it if you don't want to say it.
Yeah, you go say it because I'm not exactly sure that's exactly where you're at.
Well, well, pretty much he proposes to Bella. I probably don't have what you said, and she said
Yeah,
she said my hand has been taken by another. It is the saying I have heard but do not understand. You do not just take the hand, but all, do you not? So it's just another symbol that marriage is a trap. Every time Bella gets proposed to, it's just a trap. They just want to trap you, you know?
Exactly. And then so he was like he was like
I'll throw you overboard,
no, you said you ran away from him. That's what
Duncan said.
that's what Duncan said. And she said, which was hilarious, a recounting of events, the point of which is elusive to me.
She said, I already know this. So why are we bringing this up?
Like why and your point is
yeah, literally,
you know?
literally.
So that whole thing was just hilarious, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, I love you. Don't you love me?" And she's like, "How do you measure love? Like empirically?"
Yeah.
Right? And when he's I wrote that what he said.
Yeah, that
yo.
had me cracking up.
He was like, "What the f are you talking about? Who are you? You don't know what bananas are. You never heard of chess,
But you know what
and yet you know
empirical
what
means?
empirically means. Yeah, like
Crack
what?
the hell up. He said, you don't know what bananas are. I lost it, yo.
Like you don't know what bananas are.
And what DQ said that was funny, he was like, whenever they like get really mad, they just talk like today's society. Like just being like, what the
Exactly,
fuck? What the fuck? What are you? Like, you don't know what bananas are, but you know what empirical means. But
No, it's hilarious. I got a deep dive though.
into what? Into Martha, is it philosophy?
It's philosophy.
Me too. Oh my God. All right. I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. So after the argument, right? Martha and Harry are sitting on the deck of the ship, and Martha and Harry are the proposed couple. We can just call them couple.
They're not a couple. They're friends. They're a couple, but they're not a romantic couple.
Yeah.
Because he said he hasn't been
And-
fucked in 20 years. So why would
Yeah,
they be? Yeah.
exactly. So Bella's sitting there, and Bella's frustrated, and she's like, Emerson, which she means Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is an American essayist and lecturer
We literally
and
was on the same
philosopher.
path because I spent so much time. I was like, wait, this means
Yes,
something. Let me find out.
exactly, right? So,
And what I
so
noticed too is that she's wearing blue, just like Martha is, and I'm like, okay, she's probably trying to be more like her.
yeah, maybe. And Emerson is all about individualism, right? That's like his theory, his philosophy is that instead of focusing on socialism and focusing on religion, that human beings should find enlightenment with understanding of themselves and their relationship with nature in an individualistic approach. And she said that how he's written of what men can do better, but he hasn't written about women, you know? And he said maybe he doesn't know any. And then Martha said, um, she said to read
Goethe. I don't know if that's his name.
Goethe. Goethe.
I could be saying it
So
wrong. Goethe. I don't know.
yes, so Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, he lived from 1749 to 1832. He's a German writer and is considered one of the greatest German writers of all time. One of his most popular books that he wrote, well, actually was a play. It was called Faust.
Faust.
Yes.
Faust.
All right.
I don't know.
So it's a tragic play. It tells the story of a scholar named Faust who makes a pact with the devil, Mephistopheles. Faust trades his soul for unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures. Throughout the play, Faust experiences moments of profound insight, love, and despair, and he pursues his desires with the aid of Mephistopheles. Ultimately, Faust's journey leads to his redemption through the love of Gretchen, but not before facing the consequences of his action. The play explores themes of ambition, the pursuit of knowledge, morality, and the human condition. Right?
I'd watch that play.
Yeah, it also says throughout the play, Faust encounters Gretchen, a young woman whose innocence and purity captivates him. Their tragic love affair becomes the central focus of the story, leading to Gretchen's downfall and Faust's eventual redemption. As Faust grapples with the consequences of his actions and the realization of the emptiness of his pursuits, he ultimately found salvation through the repentance and the divine grace of God. So that little line, read Goethe, right? It draws so much parallelism, right? So many parallels with this story, right? Obviously, with Bella kind of changed roles depending on your point of view. You know, she could easily be Faust, who goes for exploring, you know, and Mephistopheles, the devil, could be at one point of the story. It could be Duncan, you know, because Duncan was basically her guide in the middle of the story. Later on, it could be the lady of the prostitute house, you know, that madam. She could be the Mephistopheles, you know, and then the whole story is about her struggling with morality, right? And that's why she was reading so much I think philosophical books, because she wasn't brought up on morality.
Not at all.
You know, she's not right or wrong, or you know, or human emotions at all. So she had to get all that stuff from these textbooks.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
You
that I
know?
didn't think about that. She was pretty much like a doll, and
Yeah.
she didn't inherently know about, empathy or love or compassion, till she had to learn it. But one quote from Emerson, he says, to believe your own thought, to believe that is what, no, to believe that what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men, that is genius. I'm going to read it again because I butchered that. To believe your own thought, to believe that what is true for you in your private heart is true for all men, that is genius. Speak your latent conviction, and it shall be the universal sense. For the innermost in due time becomes the outermost. And I read that and I'm like, if this ain't Bella, like she knows her truth thoroughly and she doesn't feel shame because of it. She does and says what she wants no matter what, no matter how many people try to stifle her. And she's just herself. She's unapologetically herself. And she expresses this shared sentiment when she says to Harry, it is the goal of all to improve, advance, progress, grow. I know this in me, and I am sure I am indicative of all.
Exactly. She did say that.
And I'm like, okay, that's Emerson philosophy. But I'm also like, on the flip side, this saying might portray her like childlike, egocentric mindset.
Exactly. It did.
And we know if people don't know what egocentrism is, I got a definition. So it's pretty much egocentrism in a child refers to the child's inability to see a situation from other person's point of view. Mm-hmm. So the egocentric child assumes that other people see, hear, and feel exactly the same as they do.
Exactly.
So it would make sense for her to kind of gravitate towards Emerson's sort of ideals. But like you said, it's like they don't talk about women. So I think the reference to Goethe and what you said about Faust was a really good point. And Emerson, unlike Harry and Bella, believes that their own actions can improve the world. Like another quote by Emerson says, all men plume themselves on the improvement of society, and no man improves. So it's pretty much saying, how could you make things right if you're not looking in the mirror?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she thinks she could shoot herself. But another quote by that I seen by Goethe, if I'm saying his last name right. It might have been from the play Faust too, but he said, I've studied philosophy, jurisprudence, medicine, and even, alas, theology, from end to end with labor keen. And here, poor fool, with all my lore, I stand no wiser than before. And I feel like that's kind of...
I think he was a poet too.
Yeah. I think that's kind of how Bella felt. When she said to Duncan, she said, I have all these thoughts banging around my head like lights in a storm, know? And then Duncan came up with his hating ass, mad that she got friends and threw her books overboard. And I hate when he said, oh, you're losing that adorable accent. And I'm like, she's becoming intelligent and you hate that.
Yeah, the adorable way you talk.
Yeah.
The way you speak.
Yeah.
And she definitely did throw both her books off the boat. And then tried to throw Martha off the boat.
Yeah.
Like he was a maniac, yo. And like, what do you think about Harry taking
Bella to Alexandria?
Yes, to that hotel.
Well,
and whatever floating, like air tram that was this tech, like the time setting was realistic. Seemed like the 1800s, but they also had like air trolleys like that to just kind of throw the whole thing off.
Yeah, they said it was purposely like that. Like they wanted to kind of
whimsical.
Be, hold on one second. Yeah, I think it is something that you need to see. And it reminds me, so they were at this hotel eating dinner in Alexandria, still on a ship, and also a very yellow scene, a very, very yellow scene. And then just below them, they can see the slums of Alexandria, and they see poor people and dead babies and parents struggling to feed their children. And it's just a horrendous sight. And Bella's like, we need to go down there. We need to help them. And Henry's like, we go down there, they'll quite rightfully rob us, and rape us. And if they were here and we were there, we'd do the same to them.
Yep.
And it's just like, that's literally that. I know that's how capitalism is. Like, capitalism can't thrive unless there's people at the bottom suffering to make the people at the top better. It's just how it is. And it's like, you can't go down there and expect people not to act out of that desperation. And if they
Exactly.
were in our shoes, they'll look down on us too and think poor
Hmm.
things, but not do anything because it's just pretty much like you kind of need someone to suffer for your own benefit.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's true. And it's just like humans to build that extravagant tower and the beautiful hotel over people who were starving and impoverished, right?
Literally, on
You
Benjamin
see, you see the.
Franklin, what are you saying?
Well, I'm about to say I see that everywhere I travel.
Everywhere.
You
On
know.
Benjamin Franklin Parkway, I remember years ago, they have these hotels. Um, I know the Ritz is on is on the Avenue of the Arts, right by the Kimmel Center. I know the Westin is not too far from the art museum. A lot of hotels, and I remember thinking about all the homeless people sleeping on the steps of the hotels. And I just remember
Mm,
thinking the hotels could easily let them stay in these rooms. They have so many rooms. There's so many
exactly.
hotels downtown. I don't think there
Yep.
should be any homeless people sleeping on the steps outside when there's literally rooms there that they can stay in. It's
Even
crazy.
if it's like, even if it's like separate from the rest of the guests or whatever, you know what I mean? Just yeah, that's crazy.
Did I
You're
tell
right.
you? Did I mention what dumb DQ said one time when we were out? I don't know if I said it to the podcast. Do you remember?
No.
Well, one night me and DQ were out. I don't know, running the streets or whatever. And I saw this man. He appeared to be homeless. He had like a blanket out and like a stretch of cardboard. Like he slept there. He was in a wheelchair. And he had a cup. He wasn't asking for money, but he had a cup. So I gave him some money. And then I asked DQ, I said, do you think that it's kind of offensive to give money to a man who didn't ask for it? Like, I know he's homeless. And DQ was like, yeah, he gonna be like, just because I'm homeless don't mean I'm broke.
Yeah, I remember you said that before.
No, but it's just like, it's like here we are running the streets, having a good time, spending way too much money on drinks, going to
Hmm.
expensive dinners in expensive clothes, hair done, makeup done. And there's homeless people here. And I remember one time someone said, yo, I stepped over a homeless person once and didn't think about it. And I felt so bad afterwards when someone called me out about it. And it's like, yeah, we're just conditioned to ignore them. They're
Yeah,
not seen as part of society, so they become invisible.
exactly.
And everyone
I
knows
agree.
they're there, but Bella had no idea people like that were there. So seeing
Yeah.
it was literally traumatizing to her.
And you know who also a population that's invisible? Sex workers. You know,
Okay, yeah.
and sex workers was a huge theme in the third
Wait, but we're not going to talk about
act of the movie.
we're not going to talk about Bella taking Duncan's money.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
That was
He was
hilarious. When she was on the bed, she was like, "I gave it to the poor," and he's like, "Where the fuck is my money?"
but
That was
and he get
hilarious.
kicked off the boat, you know. And
Emma Stone killed it. She's so funny. She was like, "I gave it to the plum poor," just sobbing
yes.
like,
Then she was like, "I expect an embrace for
right. And the
solace."
base is solid. And he's like, "Nigga, you gave me all my money." And yeah, they got kicked out in Marseille at Marseille. Oh,
Yes.
but one last thing that Bella says to Harry when she sees him, she says, "I realize what you are now, Harry, just a broken little boy who cannot bear the pain of the world."
Mm-hmm.
Because he admitted that he wanted to show that to her to hurt her because he couldn't
To hurt
stand
her.
how happy she was. And I'm like, misery loves company.
Haters. Haters are everywhere.
Yeah.
They can smile in front of your face, act like they want to teach you something, but it's all for their own objectives.
I don't think he necessarily was a hater. I think is what she said. It's kind of like, he was woke. He knew better. He knew better. And ignorance is bliss.
It is.
So he wants to inform her because it's like everyone should know about that. But yeah, his
Yep.
intentions they're a bit malicious,
Nefarious
nefarious,
intentions.
dastardly.
Dastardly deeds. But yeah, the Paris act,
Wait. There's
right?
there's one thing I wanted to say. Here's another quote that I saw by Ghost that kind of like made me think of Bella. Um, He said, in art, there is no turning a goddess into a witch, a virgin into a whore, but the opposite operation, to give dignity to what has been scorned, to make the degraded desirable. That calls for art or for character. And I think that's a good transition into the next city, Paris.
Yeah, so when they get to Paris,
Bella's wearing yellow
they're,
again.
she's wearing yellow again. Oh, yeah. She's wearing yellow again. And then Duncan's sitting on the bench with an umbrella.
Covered in snow.
Distraught. Covered in snow, distraught. And Bella
He's
just
seething.
seething, right? And Bella is like optimistic. She says, yo, I'll go. I'll find us a place to stay. I'll take care of it. And he's like cursing her out, saying we don't have money.
Cunts!
Yeah, just like cursing her out, yo. So then Bella's like, fine, I'm gonna go get money. And she goes and her stupid little self wanders over and finds herself in a brothel.
Brothel. Yeah.
Right? And she pulls a trick.
And
for
I
20
imagine
francs.
being a prostitute in the 1800s or whatever must be equivalent to like the deepest rim of hell.
Yeah, it sounds terrible.
It sounds awful.
But she enjoyed it. She got 20 francs and she was like, yeah, Duncan, when you said you was the best lay in the world, I didn't really believe you at first. 'Cause I never lay with another. But now that I do, I think I seem to agree with you. This guy sucked. He had 3 pumps and he was done. And Duncan's face, this whole time of disgust and seething, and he took the eclair and said, you hoard yourself. And she was like, so now you're going to tell me that's a bad thing, huh? Right? I can't win with you. He said, that's the worst thing a woman can do, And he called her all sorts of names, Like, he wholeheartedly disowned her. I think he said that she was the devil that came to go and destroy his
This
heart.
man is crazy. Like, he literally sees Bella's sexual freedom as a personal attack against him.
It does.
And like a woman who speaks her mind, is sexually free, and won't be contained is a concept so absurd to him that it literally drove him to an insane asylum.
Yes, literally. It drove him insane.
It literally challenged his toxic masculinity so strongly that he could not handle it. And he literally saw Bella as this evil deity sent to destroy him personally, even though she's just living her life. She's not doing anything to him. Well, she took his money, but that's about it.
But then she gave him the money back that
She did give him, that God gave her.
That God gave her, right? And he was like, you had money this whole time. I was weak, yo. I was like, yo, this is hilarious. And this is why you don't run away with someone with a mental capacity of an 8-year-old. Like, what do you expect?
Well, what he expected. He expected that he would be manipulating her.
Yeah, that's true.
He didn't realize that she will gain self-eye realization throughout this journey. He didn't realize that this is not a woman that you cannot shame.
Exactly. She probably had like a 13-year-old mind by the time she got to Paris, I think.
I don't know. But one thing that I did enjoy is that Bella's time as a whore, she never looks back at it as a regretful time or something she's ashamed of.
No, she's not.
She sees it as an experience.
Exactly. She sees the experience and she knows that people don't like it, right? And she said she was like, oh, I don't think we should ever get married because I'm here to explore and I need a spouse who is more forgiving. And I thought that was true, right? Spouses should be forgiven.
Yeah.
Right? I remember when we got married, the song that
when we got married, specify who you talking about.
I'm talking about My Wife and I.
Okay, Eileen.
Not you, big head.
Yeah.
Right. So
you need to say that.
We got married. The song that we attempted to have before our ceremony.
Oh, the one Adana folded on. Adana, if you hear this, you suck.
A Heart That Forgives.
Yeah, I don't forgive her for that. Say no.
Right? It says a heart that forgives.
That song was really wordy though.
Yeah, one of compassion, just like God above. But yeah, spouses need to learn how to forgive and how to have some grace, for relationships to work. Especially with Bella, she's trying to learn the road and figure out everything. But to be honest with you, everyone's trying to learn the road and figure out everything, especially
since
if you
she's
get
been
married
cooped up,
young.
this whole time. Like she said, she never left
Exactly.
God House.
She'd be like, "I've been locked up. Don't let me
But
out."
one thing that literally like was so sleazy, but it was so true. I remember when a client came into the brothel and he chose which girl he wanted, and Bella went up to Swiney and she said, "You don't think it'll be better if the woman chose the man? Because then, the man won't have to feel like he's creeping her out the whole time and there's like a mutual attraction." And then
Mm-hmm.
Swiney said, "You have to understand, some men enjoy that you don't like it."
Mm-hmm.
And Bella was like, she's like, sick? Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It literally is. Then she bit her earlobes.
Exactly. Yeah. Did she bit her stomach later on?
She wanted a piece of
She was.
Bella.
Everyone wanted a piece of
She
Bella.
was a ravenous thing. And I think people, it has to be rooted in pedophilia because people, their obsession with youth is kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And like innocent, I think when people see like an innocent or maybe like a virginal type person, they just have nasty thoughts and they just want to conquer that. Like even at the beginning when Max was so mad that Bella was going with Duncan, yeah, he cared about her, but I thought, you're just mad because Duncan gonna hit it first.
Mm-hmm. That's part of it.
But
That was part of it. But also, they got engaged, so I can see he's mad. But also, Max was kind of a wimp.
they
whole
weren't engaged
movie.
just yet. She didn't sign the contract.
Well, they didn't sign a contract to be married, but they were betrothed. They were
Betrothed.
engaged.
Oh,
Because he
they
asked her to marry her.
okay.
And she said yes.
That's one
She
thing
said,
about
"I'll
the
marry-"
movie. I don't know. At the end, did they ever get married?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, for the Paris scene, do you think it was too much sex?
No, she's at a whorehouse.
But do you think it was too, do you think they could have just, in my opinion, most of the time when, do you remember?
Do you think it was male gazy?
No, maybe. Well, yeah, because she's naked and she's Emma Stone. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's obviously male gazy.
Not obviously. I think sex scenes can be done in a way that doesn't feel like the male gaze. I gotta think about it to see if I feel like, okay, what's a very male gazy sex show? Euphoria. It's all for the male gaze. All for pretty much what I mean by that, by people that don't know. The show is shot as if the viewer is a man, the camera is a man watching it. So the camera caters to the fantasy of a male viewer. So, I don't know.
So, it's pornographic.
I mean, porn, it could be different too, because porn doesn't have to be for the male gaze either. If you're on Pornhub, it absolutely is only for the male gaze, But I think, I don't think it was male gazy because I think, number one, Bella felt in control of every sexual situation she was in, besides that small pinch from Duncan. Even that man, I remember she screwed this one man and he was stinky. And at the end, she was talking to her friend Toinette. I don't speak French. And she was like, it was brutal. It was brutal, but in a surprisingly not not unpleasant way.
Yeah, and so Emma Stone was actually the producer in this movie too.
Oh, okay.
So she had some say in what she would or would not do and how those scenes would kind of be taken out.
Because it's like when you think about it, the only time she was naked was during the sex scenes. I noticed with male gazy sort of things, it'll just be kind of sexy scenes for no reason. Like, I don't know, think about like an anime, for example. Like a girl walking down the steps and her boobs are bouncing in a way that defies gravity.
Yeah,
It's like what?
Yeah.
That's not even the setting for it. For sex, that makes sense. Yes, it was a lot of sex, but the movie is about sex,
Yeah, it was about her sexual awakening.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think the argument can be made that it's male gazy because there's too many scenes of it. But also, I'm like, she's at a whorehouse. But
Yeah, and also the book was a lot of sex too.
really, I only read the sample.
Yeah. No, I read a synopsis of the book. The book had a lot of sex in it too.
Okay.
So that doesn't stray too far away.
Yeah.
So it was a sexy movie.
Yeah,
Movies
it
full of
was, but
sex.
like I said, it never. Yeah, it didn't feel male gazy to me at all.
Yeah, I thought the Paris
And they
scene
showed
in the
dicks
whole
too.
though.
A lot of times with male gaziness, you never see penises. They actually
That's
showed
true.
penises.
Yes, and that was unfortunate. But there was the Paris scene. I thought it was kind of boring
That was kind of
for
boring.
me. Yeah, it was just basically like she was just pulling tricks at the tricks at the tricks, and I didn't really
Becoming a
understand
socialist.
what was the yeah, becoming a socialist. And then one thing Duncan fell up to her and was like, I know you slept with that guy with the hook hand. You guys are whores, right? And she was like, we are our own form of production, right? And I was like, that's a bar. Like literally, I can go and feed myself. I can go and be productive myself, you know. And I think that Bella was okay with the prostitution thing until, when that creepy lady, Swivey, whatever her
Swiney.
name is, when she came in and she was like, "Hi, you're my favorite. I love all my girls." And she was like, "We're just a machine for you." And she realized that the business and the brutality of it. And then that's when she started writing letters back home, and she went back home when she found out
Godwin was
that God
sick.
was dying. Yeah.
Yeah. But but that scene of Duncan pulling his hair out, calling to Bella over the balcony, I cracked up too. He
Yeah,
was like,
no.
Bella. He improvised that too.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, just
And she didn't care at all, yo.
because it's like, dude, get lost. Like, go away.
Yeah.
Go jump in the Seine. We're in France. Like, get away from me. Like, but
Yeah.
another thing that's interesting. I got the translation online, but remember when her friend, the black lady, I think his name is Toinette, she showed her a pamphlet. She said, Toinette said, pamphlet, read. And she said, I am a socialist. And Bella said, what is that? And she said, a person who wants to change the world for the better, make it better, a better world. And Bella said, then I'm that too.
Oh.
And that's when she became a socialist. And one thing I noticed is that Bella slept with the priest too.
She did. She did. She said, "God bless you."
She was like God has given you a gift. And I think he said in French, it's my addiction. I heard the word that sounds like addiction. I think he said "c'est mi addiction." I don't know. It sounds like addiction. But yeah. So let's go to Bella going home to not Glasgow, but London. Oh, another thing to note. You said that Paris felt kind of boring.
Yes.
And I kind of understand because did you notice that the setting was a lot more toned down than how it was in Lisbon and in London?
Yeah, the setting was so down. Even though they had penises all across the windows.
Well, I mean, like it wasn't
phallic shapes and stuff.
like fantastical. Like the
Yeah,
colors
that's
were
true.
less saturated. We didn't see any weird flying fishes, and
It just looked like regular Paris.
that's because that was what the costume designer actually said was and you noticed that Bella started to wear black going to the socialist meetings. She said, the costume designer, who is Holly Waddington, the biggest thing for me when working on Poor Things was to find a way to change the costumes and make sure they go on a journey with Bella. In the beginning, Miss Prim dresses Bella in childlike grand clothes, and we see lots of underwear and nightwear. When she leaves, Miss Prim packs her a suitcase, and then it's about how Bella puts together outfits on her own. It's discombobulated, like a child dressing from a parent's wardrobe. She wears things like sheer petticoats as outerwear or a bodice and knickers with a jacket from earlier scenes, what feels like a modern way to dress, right? It quickly became apparent that the costumes will need their own evolution throughout. So there's a reason why things look a lot more toned down in Paris and in London because Bella's maturing now. She has, she's not seeing the world through the same rose-colored glasses of wonder, and just like fantasy. She's starting to see the world for how much it is, and that's probably why you thought it boring because it was so beautiful. Like the brothel was beautiful,
Yeah.
the sort of like Baroque style of everything and like lights and darks. I thought it was gorgeous, but you're right, it wasn't as much of a visual like overstimulation as like Alexandria and Lisbon and her home was. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, let's go on back to
So
London.
back to London. Back to London. So back at London, um, Godwin is dying of cancer, and
Oh, we never talked about the poor girl, the other experiment they did on Felicity.
oh yeah, they missed Bella so much. They found another girl.
That was
I don't know
sick.
who. Yes, but I don't know if she was also pregnant and dying. I don't know if they just took a regular girl and put a baby brain in her. I don't know what they did to Felicity, but Felicity is dumber than a doorknob.
Like that's one thing that I'm just kind of like, okay, if I saw that as Bella, I wouldn't have forgiven them because like you haven't learned because you did it again. You did it again.
Exactly. They
But
did it again, right? And um Bella comes back and she finds out what happens to her, and she's like, because her Tonette saw that she had
she had a
a
C-section
cesarean
scar.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a C-section scar. She was like, "Where's my baby?" And when Godwin was like, "Well, technically, you are the baby and the mother," I was like, "Yo, this is just sick." Like, and she explained what it was, and she was like, "I enjoy life, so I understand what you did, but I don't enjoy the lying and the entrapment. You
Yeah.
lying about it and you keeping me a prisoner for all these years.
Yeah.
And that's real.
Yeah. You know
That's
what's also
real.
interesting? In the book, Bella's 5'10".
Yeah.
It's a
I
use.
thought it was
It's
Emma Stone.
huh? She's not 5'10", I don't think. I was like, this hoe was tall, but yeah,
That was
I
random to say.
understand the kind of, huh?
I thought that was a random to say. In the book, she was 5'10".
She was 5'10". I was like, dang, she's tall, big baby.
But yeah, so then after they get settled and everything, and Bella, she gets back with Max, and they agreed on a wedding
That
date,
was
and she
so
actually
cute.
proposes to
See,
Max.
that was so
Yeah.
cute. And one thing that Bella said, she tells him, I was a hoe. No, like a real hoe. I was like
Like,
coxing me for money. And then she said
exactly.
something. She said that does the whoring thing challenge the desire for ownership that men have? And I like what Max said. Well, Max said, it was something that I think we would all say. He was like, no, it's not ownership. All I feel is just jealousy that you spend time with other men. And I'm like, that's acceptable. And when
Yeah.
he said that, he said something else, that he said that he also believes that they can change the world. I guess
Yep.
when she realized they have the same ideals, they're both idealists and optimistic people, she was like, will you marry me? And I'm like,
He also said, "It's your body, Bella. You can
yes,
give it to whoever you please."
yes, yes.
Right. That's what he said to her. And
Listen,
that was and that sounds like a normal thing you hear nowadays, but back in the 1800s, that's radical.
that's literally radical. That's literally, and I'm
You
going to get
know.
more into that later, but that's literally radical. So I understand why Bella was like, oh, I'm gonna lock this down. I'm gonna trap in. Say no, but she's like, I love that because now here's her proposing marriage. You know what I mean? Here's her being able to make her own decisions about who she wants to spend with. No one's trapping her. It's like it's great. I really did like that. I thought that was so sweet.
So then they get to the wedding, and one of the biggest curveballs of the movie, where they're about to get married, and then and then God, right? He pops up, and she's like, "Oh my God, how'd you get here?" And he's like, "Well, I took methamphetamine through the
I
toes,
shot heroin
and
between
I
my
took
toes.
heroin. I took heroin between my toes. I'm on some other drugs." And I took a shot of cocaine because I'm partial to cocaine.
Yeah, just because I like it. I just like coke. I was like, all
I
right.
was dying, yo. And he just walked up there with his robotic, like cyborg self. And then
Monstrous.
Alfie
Alfie Blessington, the
Blessington.
worst man he's worse than Duncan, and I thought
He
Duncan was
is.
pretty bad.
He is. He comes in and says that Victoria is his wife. And Bella is interested because she quickly realizes this is the only way I get to understand where I came from.
And I don't blame her. I
And
would have
this,
did the same thing. I
yeah,
would
she
have
was
gone.
like, "Don't follow me. I'm gonna go with him."
Yeah. That's the
You
thing
know?
about Bella that I like too. She do what she wants. She don't care if it's like the middle of her wedding ceremony. I think anyone else
Hmm.
would be like, "Well, it's a wedding. It'll be frowned upon if I left." She said, "No, this is what I want to do, so I'm doing it. I don't care. I don't care if it's my wedding. I
Yep.
want to
And
know
then
about
Max
my
let her
past, so
go.
I'm going with Alfie."
And Max let her go, which I think is partial sweet, mostly punk, right? Like
No, I
you
don't
don't.
think it's either. I think he realized he's tired of trying to trap her. He's tired of trying to trap her.
You saying he just realizes that she has to do what's best for her and let her go?
Yeah, he's like why would you she said this to Alfie when Alfie said that she's trapped her. She said, "Why would you want to keep me here against my will?" And
Exactly.
Max grown past that. He don't want to trap her no more. He's
Yeah.
over that.
So Alfie was a G,
Max, I mean,
yo. When
a
they was in the
G.
house, like meaning like he just like a thug, like the way he like carried his gun. Like he was like, yeah, I don't trust the servants.
There might
They
be
open
an
the door, and he
uprising.
just
I did
might
crack
be
up when he said that.
uprising.
I said, "What? What is happening? There's an
And
uprising."
like the servants come up, he just point the gun at him. Like, you might done with my chicken yet? Like, or he made fun of the other lady and made her spill the soap, the soup all over her.
I hated that.
And
There
then
was nothing G about that.
No, but I'm saying just the way he like had the gun, just kind of pointed her at her. Like
No, I didn't like that.
he did that. He did that. Like he was just quick with just pulling the gun out. Like, yo, say something. Say
He
something.
was
Like
literally satanic. And I could tell that Alfie is worse than Duncan. Remember when
yeah,
Duncan threatens to
throw her overboard.
throw Bella overboard when she denied his marriage proposal, and Bella said, "Do you want to marry me or kill me?" And he looked
She
at her.
said, "Is that your proposal to either marry me or kill me?
Yeah.
Meaning, is that my options to marry you or die?"
Yeah. And then he kind of stared at her, and then he broke the bluff, and he's like, "I'm going to the casino."
Yeah, I
She
was dying.
said the
I'm going to
same thing
casino.
to Alfie when Alfie said, "If you leave, I'm going to put a bullet through your head." And then she said, she kind of challenged him, "Are you going to shoot me in the front or the back of my head?" Without missing a beat, he said, "The back of your head, so I know that you're leaving." And it's just
And
like,
I'll
oh, this
act
man is
rash.
different.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not
different.
he's not saying this out of anger. He's stating straight facts. He will kill you. And one thing that I noticed in the next scene about Bella's costume, this is my interpretation, but Bella's wearing this orange gown. She still has her puffy sleeves, but the dress has like these spiky purple lapels. And they're spiky. And I've never really seen Bella, besides in a whorehouse, she wore a collar that was kind of spiky. But this collar is very, very spiky. Like it looks like something that Maleficent would wear. And to me, it kind of looks like armor, like she's adorning armor. And it's like she appears, like the costume seems hostile, like something that Cersei would wear in Game of Thrones, like the sharpness of it. And I'm like, maybe it's hostile because she feels like she's in a defensive, unsafe environment. And not long after I see her wearing this costume, that's when you overhear the conversation between Alfie and some freaking crackpot doctor talking about female genital mutilation and what
Yeah,
they're going to do
man,
to her.
that's
So actually,
what they
so I
go.
went up to the World Health Organization, and female genital mutilation, also FGM, comprises all procedures that involve partial or total removal of the external female genitalia or other injury to the female genital organs for non-medical reasons. More than 200 million girls and women alive today have undergone female genital mutilation. In
200 million.
200 million. In 30 countries in Africa, the Middle East, and Asia where FGM is practiced. Because I remember the doctor said, "Oh, I learned this somewhere in Africa." He said something along the lines of that. When he saw the little contraption to pull it off, he said that he could pull it off like a button with this contraption. And then he said, they say FGM is mostly carried out on young girls between infancy and age 15.
Wow.
So that's a thing. That's literally a thing.
200
Million girls alive
people.
today have
That's
undergone
literally 2/3 of the United States population.
literally.
Literally, that's how much. That's how many people that is.
Like, this dude is sadistic. And
That's
it's just
crazy.
like,
The world is sadistic.
the world is
Right,
sadistic.
this is a movie. 200 million people did this.
And still
you
doing
know?
it to young girls between infancy, and age 15 years old.
Disgusting.
That made me sick. That made me sick to my stomach. And I'm so mad Bella did not kill that man. She should have killed him.
Well, she basically did.
No, you don't deserve to be a
dead.
goat. Goats are innocent. You should die.
He's not a goat. He's dead. His brain is dead.
No, I want everything about him dead. I don't want to see this man eating my grass and shitting on my lawn. I want you dead. But
Yeah.
I guess Bella's a better person than I am. I don't know.
She could have let him blood after the confrontation when she threw the clariphone and gin in his face and he fell to the ground and
Shot him in the foot.
But yeah, she's smart. She grabbed the gun and shot him in the foot and then dragged him back to the house. And when she dragged him back to the house, right, and put him on the table, they took the bullet off, and it was obvious he's about to do the brain transplant. What did you think was going to happen?
With the brain transplant?
Yes. What did you think? Who did you think? What did you think was going to happen when they were going to do the brain?
Oh, you know what I thought? I think for a second I thought they'll put Godwin's brain in him.
That's what I thought so too.
Yeah.
I thought that too. I thought they could put Godwin's brain in that body.
But I think Godwin has undergone enough surgery. Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought they could put Godwin's brain in that body. Right. But then they showed Godwin pass away soon afterwards, right, the scene right after.
Which was a sweet
I'm
scene.
like, oh, yeah, it was. It was a sweet scene as that man has been tortured. And
But them just laying together, him, Max, and Emma, and he like kisses her on the forehead. It's like, this is sweet.
Bella.
Yeah, Bella.
And he was like, all his life, people looked at him with disgust and pity, except for you, Bella. You know, he just looked at him as Ba and God as just.
I remember one time he was like, we can't go outside. People think I'm repulsive. And she was like, what? God, beautiful, or something like that.
Like, God, beautiful. God looked like Dogface.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny.
But the dog she see has half dog, half chicken, half pig, half cow.
Listen, kids don't know no better.
They don't know better.
But
They don't.
the last thing I want to say is, and Bella's outfit in the last scene, completely different. She's wearing this cream turtleneck and this suede skirt with these granny boots. It eats. She still has her puffy sleeves, and I like that. Her puffy sleeves are still there, but now it's more grown up.
Yeah.
You know, but she's still Bella Baxter, and she looks great. And you know, she's just living in her weird house with dumb Felicity and your goat abuser and your nanny who hated you, but now she likes you, and your little husband. And
she's like, the horror is back.
yeah, the horror is back. Like, oh my god, yeah.
And I felt like the housekeeper on Victoria's house was also like, the horror is back when she got back to the house. Like,
Oh yeah, I wonder if Victoria was as cruel.
yeah, that's what you said. They bonded for their cruelty.
But she ran away, so I don't think she was as cruel as
probably not.
as Alfie.
Yeah.
Like, she took her own life. Like, I think Alfie was pretty horrendous. Man, he don't deserve to be a goat.
He's not the goat.
He's not. He's the worst.
Who's the goat?
He's the
Say it
woke.
again.
The worst of all time.
Boo.
No, they say that. There's a show DQ watches where rappers and basketball players say the GOAT things, like, what's the GOAT breakfast cereal? Then they'd be like, what's the WOAT? And I was like, I don't like how WOAT is a thing. Don't ever say that again. No.
So, Mary, what would you rank this movie?
I get this movie an extra large bag of popcorn. Emma Stone is phenomenal. Like, the physicality that she uses for this character, like we said, her toddler way of walking, her way of speech, just literally having sex for hours, like literally having so much sex. And, you know, she said she had to work with the intimacy coach for all the sex scenes, you know, being brave enough to put her bare body out there and eating 60 tarts, like 60 of those Portuguese tarts, and mastering an English accent, you know.
Speaking French.
You know what I mean? With an accent, to me, it sounds really freaking good. It sounds like good French. Like, just mastering that dance. I know we know that she can dance from La La Land. We know that. But this is better than anything she did in La La Land to me. That dance was incredible. Just
Yeah.
wearing the clothes well and just being her weird self and just literally creating a character that I fell in love with. Like I
Yeah.
think Bella is great. She's very endearing, and it's just like you see the character and you just want to protect her. Like you
Yeah.
just want to protect her and you want to be like her. You're not biting your tongue. You're going after what you want and you feel no shame. I want to
Yeah.
be Bella Baxter. So yeah, I'll give it an extra. And everyone else was great too. Mark Ruffalo,
Yeah. He was great.
hilarious. That man's hilarious. Alfie, perfectly horrendous. Godwin, also hilarious. Like every time he brought up another traumatizing moment in his childhood, I cracked up. Like it was just funny. This movie was funny. It was beautiful. It was weird. It was horrendous. It was a social commentary. I learned stuff. I'll give this an extra large bag of popcorn.
Okay. I was when I first watched it, I was leaning towards a medium bag
Okay, why is that?
because I was so I could. It took me a while to get over the fact that Bella was a child when all these things were happening.
It was very
Mental
disturbing. Remember
standpoint.
that scene where she licked Max's ear and she said,
Yeah.
"Do Bella?" That was very disturbing.
Yeah, that was still a little childlike. I meant like just all of it, and it just
Her being humped
that
like crazy by Duncan, that was hard too. I was like, oh my God, she's a
yeah,
baby and she's getting bended over like this. I was like, you're
yeah.
sick, Duncan. I didn't like that either. That was really, DQ said it was
So
uncomfortable too.
yeah, don't so Duncan didn't know she was a baby. He just thought that she was,
I know, but we know. So it's still like, I don't like this.
exactly.
Yeah, the second time around, I was more desensitized. First time, I was like, oh my God. Ain't she like
Yeah, so
6?
so that was very uncomfortable, and the first time watching it, the funny scenes weren't that funny because I was so uncomfortable.
Okay, yeah.
The second time watching it, though, I was dying laughing. I stopped and I wrote down quotes I wanted to memorize,
Yeah.
Like it was hilarious until the Paris scene, which I still think it kind of dies down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it picks back up in London. So I'll give it a large bag of popcorn.
Okay.
I won't go extra large.
Yeah.
I understand why you go extra large,
Yeah.
and I understand why. Definitely, Emma Stone, she ate,
Mm-hmm.
like you said. She was
No crumbs.
phenomenal actor, and she took the stage. I thought
Ruffalo.
I thought Mark Ruffalo did a very good job because he came from The Hulk, and I remember he did interviews talking about how he was in a series for so long, and he's wondering, he was afraid of doing something this complicated and being a sex symbol, and also like being hated,
Yeah. But
and like
funny.
how can he? Yeah, but funny. He's like, do people even want to see me like this? Is this like, are you sure you want to have me do this role? I'm the Hulk. I just sit there and get mad, and I just go CGI and just talk. And he's like, no, the Yurgo, whatever the
Yorgos
director.
Lanthimos.
Yes, he was like, you're it, So I think Mark, and he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, right? And he didn't win, but
Who won? Was it Jeffrey
Robert
Wright?
Downey Jr.
Oh,
Robert Downey Jr. So the other Avengers. So it's kind of funny. Two Avengers
yeah.
were nominated for Best Pictures. So no, I'll get a large bite of popcorn. Like I said, I would advise people to watch it. If you're gonna watch it, it's like a late Saturday night movie with the kids at home, or like I wouldn't recommend I want my parents to watch it. So mama, dad, stayed away. If you watch it,
You
don't let
said
me
you
know.
would watch it a late Saturday night movie with the kids at home.
Like basically away from the kids. Like do not like you know what I mean. Like not with the kids.
Oh, you said the
That's
kids
what
at
I'm saying.
home, so I was like, what?
Yeah, meaning I was implying that they're sleeping.
Oh,
So anyway, yeah, it's definitely rated R for a reason.
yes. I was
But
like, this should be like NC-17 at some points, but
yeah,
or
but watch that, John.
definitely watch that,
You
John.
learn
It's definitely a watch that, John. No
Do
doubts
you
about
think?
it.
and
Unless you don't like graphic sex scenes. Mom and dad, this is not a watch that, John, for you. Any member of a church, this is not a watch that, John, for you. Like,
so the book, right? And I saw that someone made the argument that the main themes and tenets of the book wasn't portrayed in the movie, whereas Bella, she in the book was always an optimist and was happy all the time. But in the movie, she had a darker side to her. She was angry and frustrated, you know, and she had she was violent. Remember, she went and was like, I stab. And then Goblin was like, Belly only cut the dead ones. And she went and started stabbing the guy's eyes out. Like, she had a little violent streak to her, right? And
Well, I don't think I think kids can just be very morbid because they don't know no better. Like, remember when they saw the frog in the park and she was like, kill it.
Exactly.
Tell me you can't imagine the kids saying that. Kids do weird. I remember Trey was a kid. I was complaining about Belle, and he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, why don't you just kill her? I said, this is Children of the Corn?
Why don't you just kill her?
A shiver ran up my spine. This boy was 4 years old. I said, oh, he poltergeist. He exorcist. I don't know what's going on.
But the theme, what I'm trying to get at, the main theme of the book was about feminism and
I'm ruining your flow.
you are socialism, right? And I don't think definitely socialism was not a theme of this movie.
It was. I think it was a theme. I don't know much about socialism, but I think it was. Like, isn't Emerson a socialist?
No, Emerson was an individualist.
But that's not a political party, is it?
Meaning he didn't believe in political parties, really.
I don't know, because when I see things about socialism, when I was searching, Emerson came up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, socialism is an idea that what's good.
I couldn't get a firm grasp on it. What's good for the geese is good for the gander.
I don't know what that means.
Pretty much what's good for me is good for you and everybody else.
Yeah, it's more like a society way of taking care of each other. You know, like food stamps or government assistance programs or
is that not communism?
No, communism is the extreme form of that. Communism is everything is under the government control.
Oh.
Socialism is that everyone pitched in to help society as a whole. But communism is everything is owned and controlled by the government, and there's no individual. It's like the extreme case.
I don't know nothing about them isms.
About them isms.
I don't know nothing about that.
Just stay away from communism. We'll be good. We'll be good. But no, like I said, one of this video that I was watching on YouTube was saying how they didn't feel as though the feminism part, yes, but definitely not the socialism like tenet was kind of taught, you know. And they said that for Bella, her version of feminism was a getting away from all the men who had trapped her, you know. So her feminism turned to like an anti-men kind of perspective.
No, it's not. Who said this? A man?
No, it wasn't a man.
Oh, that's not an anti-man perspective. She just was surrounded. She was anti-men. She wouldn't have forgiven Godwin. She wouldn't have gotten with Max. It wasn't anti-men. Yeah. She wouldn't have gave Duncan all those chances. She just ran into a lot of terrible men that she should be away from.
Yeah, well, she did. She did. I forget the word for it, but yeah, that's all I got.
All right, y'all. Thank you for listening. Tell them where to find us, James.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Watch That John. You can also listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, on Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcast. And we'll drop another episode soon. So thank you for listening. This is a long one, so we appreciate your patience.
Thanks, guys. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.